morning and welcome to SBConnect, where we transform lives by connecting to and educating for the world of work. Today we have George San Martin, Director of Community Partnerships with Thinkwise Credit Union, who's going to be speaking to us today about financial literacy. He's been in the field for over 19 years. He has an incredible activity scheduled for all of you today out there at Pacific High School and Rialto and all across the Inland Empire. So again, enjoy today's session on financial literacy. Mr. San Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Richards. Much appreciated. Thank you to all the schools and teachers that signed up to be part of this opportunity here. Special shout out goes out to Pacific High School, one of the schools we work closely with throughout the year. Thank you so much for joining us. As stated, my name is George San Martin with Thinkwise Credit Union, the Director of Community Partnerships, and I want to spend some time going over some financial literacy concepts, and then we're going to go into an activity. So we're going to have a Q&A session at the end. So if you do have any questions along the way, please write them down so you can get back to me on those. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can go ahead and get the presentation started. So money doesn't grow on trees, right? We're going to go over several things, including lifestyles, why you want to save, budgeting, checking accounts. We're going to go into the activities and then the Q&A. So essentially, money allows you to have the life you want. Okay, it empowers you, it gives you financial security, and it gives you options above all else. Having money allows you to make decisions that will allow you to pivot into different places in your career, okay, and also going into different opportunities to make purchases and where you live, okay. Let's see here. So the lifestyle, okay, is important because that depends on what you're into, what you like, what you want to do, but all that costs money. Same thing with where you want to live, okay? If you want to live on a little island, if you want to live in a neighborhood, in a city, wherever it is that you want to live, all that's going to take different amount of resources, okay? Same thing with what you do for your extracurricular activities, okay? Now, as far as the extracurricular activities, some are more cost-effective than the others, but at the end of the day, you have to budget for all that stuff. So it's important to start saving money because, as I said, money allows you to have financial security throughout your life. You'll have money for an emergency fund, you can make purchases as you please, you can build wealth and so much more. Okay. The important aspect of this as we're younger is the time value of money. So money invested can grow over time, and compound interest can help grow that money even quicker. Okay, so the earlier you start saving, and you can let your money work harder for you and not you work harder for your money. Okay, and that's important because I'll give you an example right now. When the younger you are, when you start saving, you'll have to work less to reach your financial goals. Okay, if you're older when you start, you'll have to put away so much more, and that is here. So in essence, the average housing cost in San Bernardino County is about $500,000. In LA and Orange counties is about $1 million for the average housing cost. So $1 million today doesn't go as far as it used to. However, if you start saving today or later, would you rather have 2.3 million or 1 million? Okay. If you started saving after college, okay, and you put, let's say if you're 22 years old, you start saving $475 a month, okay, you could actually reach some of those goals. Okay. A 22-year-old can get 2.3 million by age 67 by putting away only $475 a month. Whereas someone that's a little older, if they wait 10 years or 20 years or even 30 years to start, they have to put significantly more, or they have significantly less. Okay, so a 52-year-old, if they wait 30 years, they have to put away almost $6,700 a month for 15 years and still earn 8% to reach the same 2.3 million that a 22-year-old would have to put in. So if you start saving early, it makes a huge difference in what you have to put away and what you don't have to put away. So that's more or less the time value of money. Okay? Saving for retirement is pretty, there are a lot of different options. It's varied there. So you have work options like 401k, 403b, 457. You know, you have a lot of that. You have IRAs, and then you also have different professionals like a tax advisor and financial advisor. Those kind of people can help you stay on the same path. So as you start building up your assets and everything, those are the type of people you want to include in your circle. Okay, but here's the important part. Okay, it doesn't matter how much money you make because it's all about budgeting. Okay, what is a budget? All right, a budget will take into account your income and your expenses and help keep your savings on track and help you not to overspend. So this is huge. This is important. This is more important than earning. Okay, because out of over 6,000 employees that were surveyed, 19% of workers that made over 100 grand lived paycheck to paycheck. 75% of working adults live paycheck to paycheck, no matter what the income is. So with that being said, okay, it doesn't matter if you make 100 grand or more, because what matters is how much you spend. Okay, if you have your spending under control, you can live a comfortable lifestyle without having to have higher incomes. Now, higher incomes always help, you know, that's always great. However, if you're spending almost all of what you make and you live paycheck to paycheck, you know, you could be making 100, 200, 300,000 a year and still have the same kind of lifestyle or concerns of living paycheck to paycheck if you don't have your spending under control. Okay, so in order to do that, to set up a budget and get that spending under control, you have to become intimate with your spending habits. You have to identify where your money goes. You have to see if you spend an autopilot or if you impulse buy, and you have to plug those spending links. Okay, everyone's gone to the store. We've all gone to Target or Walmart. We go in there for a couple of things, and then all of a sudden we come out with a shopping cart full of things we didn't go in for. Okay, so those are things we have to be mindful of. Okay, also you have to identify what kind of spending you can reduce. So for example, like I go to Starbucks quite often. You know, I get my coffee in the mornings. If I were to shift that over to a different brand, or if I were to break coffee at home, that could make a huge difference in my budget, right? But I've budgeted for that coffee for my breakfast, you know. So everyone has different goals, and with identifying that, like now I know what I can cut out by doing that. Okay. The second part is very, very important. You have to identify your needs versus your wants. Okay, your needs, what's required to live. Okay, what's required contractually. So this is your mortgage, your rent, this is your car payment, these are your credit cards, this is your insurances, all of those type of things. Okay, you need food, you need gas, you need clothing. Okay, now here's where it becomes a want. Okay, what kind of car are you driving? Okay, what kind of car do you want, right? You could get a basic transportation, or you could get something a little different, okay, based on what you likes you have. Okay, pair of shoes, for example. You need shoes, okay, but do you need a pair of Jordans, or do you just want them? Okay, and there's nothing wrong with going after those things and getting those things. You just have to budget for it. If you have it in your budget to buy that, no problem, because you've identified the need, you made the want attainable. Okay, and if you saved up for it, or if you were able to do it in the same month, no problem at all. But you just have to identify what it is and then have that goal, right? So identifying your wants, okay, is very, very important as long as your needs are met. Okay, so make sure you make a list of things you have to pay every month, quarter, and year. And that includes your insurances and things like that, your car registration. Okay, then you have to assign every dollar a job. Okay, everything that you have is going to be doing something, whether it's this is going to put food on my table, or this is going to be in the savings account for certain goals I have. So if I have a goal of buying a second car or buying a home, that dollar is going to go towards the savings account. That's its job. Okay. And you have to look at everything with today. Okay. So start with now, not with the past. You have to look at it from the standpoint of this is what we're going to do going forward. Right. And then also when you're assigning everything its task, always put a little extra away for food and for fuel, since those items fluctuate a lot with the current inflation that's going on. The cost of those things have skyrocketed quite a bit, especially those of you that are driving or your parents, other family members. You probably heard them say something about the rising gas costs. Okay, so it's very, very important that you identify, hey, this cost can change quite a bit from week to week, if not month to month. So you want to put a little extra into that budget for those items. Okay. And very important that you remember your emergency fund. Okay. If anyone is aware of the emergency fund, this would be a savings account you have in the event that something catastrophic happens in your household. So for example, if you have a job that you're going to, you live paycheck to paycheck, right? Well, something happens and you don't have an emergency fund, you're going to be in a world of trouble, okay, financially. Now, you go to work, you break your leg, you can't go to work. However, you have an emergency fund. Now you can pay those bills during the time that you're off of work. But the question really comes up is, how much should an emergency fund have? Okay. And how do we figure that out? So the answer to that really is the emergency fund should cover 6 to 12 months worth of expenses, whatever your expenses are. So your rent or mortgage, your vehicle, food, shelter, clothing, all that stuff you have to account for and identify. I'm spending, let's say, $3,000 a month. So for 6 months, I have to have, 18,000 set aside for that. Okay, because I spend so much. If my spend expenses are only $1,000 a month, I only have to have 6 months, right? So 6,000. So everyone's budget is going to be a little bit different depending on what they're spending. Okay, and that's really how you calculate it. You really want to have more like 12 months or more. And when the pandemic hit, a lot of people were out of work and were really worried about having their emergency fund in place. Okay, so you got to be mindful of that. And then when you do start your new budget, the first thing you want to do is pay yourself first. Put money towards your savings accounts before you do anything else. Then prioritize your bills and then pay them before any late fees are assessed. Okay. Any leftover money can be budgeted for any wants as long as your needs are paid. Okay. Now, you've done everything you can. And you want to increase your income. There's several different things that you can do. I'm not going to get into too many details on this, but you can cut down your habitual spending. Like I had said earlier with the Starbucks, I'm going to get my coffee every day. What I can do is switch it up, whether I change it from Starbucks to the gas station coffee to brewing coffee at home. That's a way to cut down my expense. Another thing that we do as a credit union and other financial institutions do this too. We can consolidate debts and do a debt consolidation type loan. And basically what you do is you take, let's say, if you have 5 credit cards, you pay them off with us. You make the payment to us instead of paying the credit cards. And then you're going to be saving a little bit of money on those monthly payments. Okay. So if you're paying $100 on each credit card and you do the loan for the debt consolidation, and let's say the loan payment's only $200 a month, now you've saved $300 on your cash flow. So that's an opportunity there. And then always look for things you can make money off of in your hobbies and things of that nature, so everything's there for you. Okay. Other things you need to do is you have to become intimate with your new spending habits. Okay. It's going to take you time to get everything right. Okay. It's going to take you at least 3 to 4 months to get everything good, and you still will overspend, but be patient and be persistent. And if you are married and you have a spouse and children, you want to include them with the process as well. Okay. Now, avoiding overspending. Okay. You always want to look for the best deals. This is one of my favorite parts, because if you've gotten the the mailers at home, the coupons and everything. You can look to see what's on sale, what coupons you have, and you can actually make it a challenge to yourself to look for the best deals. Okay, so I once went to several different grocery stores using those coupons. I went to 6 different grocery stores to get the groceries I normally get, and I was able to get, with my same budget for the month, I was able to get 4 months worth of groceries in one shot. So that saved me over the course of the year. Okay, doing stuff like that can be challenging, it takes work, but if you look for those best deals, it will pay out dividends to you. Okay, other things you can do, set dollar amounts for specific items. So if you need a pair of jeans, for example, if I need to buy a pair of Levi's, I can tell myself, I'm not going to spend more than $50 on this, and I can buy it once I have found that underneath that price. You know, if I'm going to go to the store and I see it for 65, I don't buy it. Okay, maybe I look on Amazon, or maybe I look at different discount stores. Okay, if I am diligent as far as setting that a dollar amount and I stick to that, okay, that will help me not overspend. Okay, I've set a budget for that item, and I'm not going to purchase anything above that amount. Okay, don't impulse shop. Okay, that's the worst thing you could do, because if you go into the store for certain things and you put them into your cart, that you put items in your cart that you didn't plan on buying, now you're impulse buying. Okay, so we want to make sure that you don't do that, because you'll go over your budget. Okay, and like I said, always stick to your budget. All right, so a checking account can really help you keep track of everything. Okay, if you have cash on hand and you use the cash, if you've ever had a $20 bill or even a $100 bill and you spend some of it, it's funny how quickly the rest of that will disappear. Okay, it'll go really quickly because now you're not keeping track of it. Okay, so a checking account can help keep your funds safe and secure in the account. Right, it'll help you keep track of things so that as you make each purchase, as you write every check and everything, all that stays on the statement, and you can reference that at the end of the month to balance your checks, or you can visit the online banking systems to see everything real time. Okay, so it'll help you keep your budget on track. Okay, also it gives you 24-hour access to your funds. Okay, you can use the mobile banking apps, online debit cards, everything like that to kind of keep track of everything that's going on. Okay, also any direct deposits, instead of having to take a check to the bank to deposit it, or to the credit union, what you can do is have it go direct deposit into your account. It'll go in electronically immediately. You'll be able to spend that or allocate that to pay your bills, or to use it for whatever needs you have almost immediately. Okay. Also, having a checking account allows you to pay your bills online, allows you to make online purchases and so much more, right? And the thing that's come up since the pandemic is you no longer have to handle dirty cash. In fact, a lot of merchants have moved away from accepting cash in certain locations. So for example, if you've ever gone to like Dodger Stadium, things like that, a lot of places won't even take cash. So you can't, it's a cashless ecosystem now. Okay, so the worry is that the cash has been contaminated, and in fact, some of the things that you need to be aware of is that it can carry like viruses and stuff on the currency. So always wash your hands, sanitize, and everything. Okay, so we're going to move into an activity, and we'll spend more time on this because I think this is a little bit more interactive if you're able to do this. Okay, I'm going to introduce you to a financial literacy app that you can use and you can learn at your own pace. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. Some of you may have heard of this before. It's called Zogo. Okay, it's completely free and it makes it fun to learn about money. Okay, so Zogo also gives you points that you can redeem for gift cards. So essentially what you do is you go in there and you're able to use it, learn about financial literacy, and they pay you, okay, with gift cards. Okay, and they'll send those out to you. So what you need to do, okay, is go to the App Store or Google Play and download Zogo. Okay, and it's Zogo. And there's also a code you can use in there when you're registering. It's called Thinkwise, like from Thinkwise Credit Union. So Thinkwise, and you can register your account. Okay, and then you just complete the tutorial and go through the modules up to the expenses. Okay, those are the first three. Okay. Um, you could explore budgeting tool. You can see how much you would be spending on needs and wants and how much you should be saved. So there's a lot of resources within the app that you can use that will help get everything under control. Okay. That way you have some knowledge about those topics. Okay. So sometimes finances can be intimidating, but Zogo isn't. It's pretty easy. It's a gamified version. And what that looks like is something like this. Okay. So you want to install it. This is the little logo they have there. Okay. And once you've installed it onto your phone or device, you just go through. Okay. And there's a few steps to get everything registered and set up on there, but there's small modules. So it'll take you through several pages of information that you read through, and then it'll give you a little quiz. And it'll look like this. These are actual screenshots from the app itself. Okay. There's custom quizzes and stuff that you'd answer at the end. And what they pay you in is pineapples. Okay. Those pineapples you then redeem for the actual gift cards. Okay. So then this is where you would put your information, the zip code, and then the access code Thinkwise. All right. And we are a sponsor of the app. Okay. And then, like I said, it's completely free for those in the community. Okay. And as you go through it, it looks something like this. So you'll go through different slides. There's like 6 of them here. And then you get to the last one. It's a little quiz. So I'll just talk to you about the tutorial module here. And then it'll go into the different modules after you complete it. So you can do one at a time going forward that way. Okay. I use this from time to time. It's really easy, straightforward. A lot of students have used it in the regions. Okay. But it's fairly simple to use. Now, we're moving into the Q&A section. If anyone has questions, we can open the floor up for that. I know I move fairly quickly through all the content, but I can dig deeper on any of those topics. If you do have any specific questions, I'd be happy to do that.
So if you have any questions for Mr. San Martin, please go ahead and unmute yourself and let us see you, and go ahead and speak clearly when you go ahead and give your question. I believe we have Rialto in the room as well, so this will be awesome.
Hi, I'm sorry for coming late, but I'm from Rialto. And do you have a template on Excel that it's easy to follow up with, like a budgeting, that it's friendly, Excel friendly?
I don't have one at the moment, but I can get you one if that's okay. If you want to send me your email address, I can pull something together and send that over to you if that's okay.
Thank you. I would like to share it with the families in our district.
Okay. Yeah.
And while the students are looking at other questions, and maybe some of the other educators, teachers are looking at some questions, if you don't want to go and live, you can actually put it in the chat room, and then we'll go ahead and read it out for Mr. San Martin to answer. But here's a question for you. Some students may be reluctant or feel like they're too young to begin thinking about money. What do you say to that? Is there ever a time where you could be too young to begin sharpening your financial literacy tools?
Not at all, not at all. In fact, the younger you are, the more knowledge of the topic you have as you enter the adult world, the better off you will be. Unfortunately, these kind of topics are not taught in school typically, unless you have like some kind of a program or a guest speaker. A lot of these financial habits are learned at home through family and your parents and everything. So as you go through life, you typically learn kind of like the hard way. You know, we all have someone in our life that says, hey, I wish someone would have told me this when I was younger, would have made a bigger impact. So really what happens is as you make financial mistakes through learning these topics, you realize, oh man, this is so powerful. If I would have known about budgeting when I was younger, when I was starting my first job and I started spending my money, I would have been able to put some money aside and I would have been ahead of the game at a younger age. Because if we don't understand these concepts as we get older, we finally eventually learn some of these if we do it all. But by then we've already piled on so much debt that it's hard to crawl back out. Okay, so what we want to do is be able to learn these things and put them into use as early as possible. Families that are very financially literate tend to pass on that information and knowledge to their children, and they kind of have they're ahead of the curve in many cases. So if anything, if you're not sure what's going on, ask the questions. If not through your parents, seek out the advice of your teachers, or as you get to college, your professors. Maybe they know someone that's an expert in certain type of things. I mean, there's financial advisors out there that teach about these things on high complex levels for those that have these kind of resources. If you're just looking for basic help, I mean, we're here to help you. Credit unions and banks, we all are vested in our community, learning these things for your benefit, because at the end of the day, when you make financial decisions, no one else is going to save you. No one else is going to rescue you if you make a bad decision. Okay. But we can help guide you as you're looking at different options to make a decision for yourself. Okay. But yes, absolutely. There's no reason not to start at a younger age, understanding the basics of money. Basically, money isn't free. It doesn't grow on trees. You work hard for it, and what you want to do is be able to have something to show for it when you get that paycheck. You want to know that you're doing okay financially in your household.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Before we sign off, here's a question. What strategy or advice would you offer our students who will be going off to college or university next spring, next summer? Just one thing that you would maybe warn against or advise them to implement into their financial tool bag, so to speak.
Okay, so as you go off to college, you're going to get bombarded with different offers and opportunities to get into debt, whether it's a credit card, a car loan, whatever the case is. Okay, typically they'll offer credit cards to you. My advice to you is on this: don't get it if you don't need it. There will be situations where you absolutely need it and you have no other choice, but if you don't need it, don't get it, because you're going to fall into this downward spiral of debt that you'll use it and it's easy to use. However, it's so hard to come back out of it, especially when you're still in school and you don't have any income to pay it off, or you don't have enough income to pay it all off. There are ways to use credit cards responsibly, and they're very great tools. However, a lot of college students getting into debt for the first time don't understand how it's used, or say, oh, I have enough willpower, I'll be fine. But then there's so much temptation to go out with your friends, or, spend on this, spend on that. It's much, much better to be disciplined on your spending and not get into that debt, especially as you go into college. Okay. Find a financial mentor of sorts, someone that you can ask these kind of questions to on the regular. Like, hey, you know what, they offered me this credit card, what does that mean? Because credit card interest rates are usually really high, which is what triggers the process of not being able to get back out of it. Okay. Most are through banks. Credit unions in general will offer a more competitive rate typically that's lower than what a bank would charge. So it's a little bit easier to manage. But even then, still, when you're a student and not really working, earning your full potential for your career pathway there, it's harder to climb out of that. So that would be my advice. Be wary of credit card offers, and just don't get into any unnecessary debt, especially as you're studying and you're at school.
Well, thank you so much for that advice. I know the educators and the students out at Pacific High School and Rialto High School will definitely enjoy that, as well as those students getting this information out throughout the Inland Empire on our video library. So we're going to close now, and we're going to say thank you to all the schools, all the students that were able to participate today. I want to remind you to please go to sbcalliance.org, where you can find our full lineup of SBConnect industry chats. Don't forget, we're also SBC Spanish series for those of you educators with EL students that are Spanish speakers. We will be providing series in 100% Spanish. Matter of fact, Mr. San Martin may be providing a session next month, and so we hope to see you then. Again, thank you, George San Martin, for your time today and everything that you're doing at Thinkwise. Do you have any last words before we leave?
No, I think that's it, Mr. Richards. Thank you so much for inviting me out, and thank you to all the participants that joined us today. And if everyone that's out there, like, if you have any questions regarding financial literacy, like I myself, I'm available. Other folks here at the credit union are available. There are plenty of resources in the community that you can get information about this. The number one thing is, don't be afraid to ask for help, especially if you don't understand something, especially something as complex as how money actually works. So don't be afraid to ask. Just reach out to somebody, and we'll be here to help you for sure.
Thank you for this opportunity to give our students this instruction in financial literacy. Again, thank you, Pacific High School, Rialto High School, and all the other schools throughout the Inland Empire. Have a great day.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.